Hey everybody, so I wanted to come on here and talk about something that's important to me, something that's been really instrumental in my life. Um, so I just kind of wanted to give just a quick disclaimer that I will be talking about deities, and I kind of will be talking about a little bit about, the Catholicism faith. So, I mean, if that's really not something that, is your cup of tea, then, I totally understand. But I am going to be throwing out some knowledge that, that you may not know, and it may be beneficial to you. So, you know, there's no harm in, hearing me out. There's no harm in, maybe learning something different that you may have not known that, could actually really help you in your life. So the first thing I want to say is most of you know that I am a practitioner. I am somebody who, you know, does manifest using candle magic, using jar spells, um, you know, I'm a practitioner. So, but one thing to know is that, I don't really follow just one path. I'm very diverse. I believe in all the faiths. I believe every path and every faith has something, something unique about it. And so I'm open to all of it, so me personally, I was born Catholic, but there was a time in 2003 where I actually moved across the world and I lived in the country of Jordan for the whole year of 2003. And while I was there, obviously I was exposed to, the Muslim faith, and I absolutely loved it. So again, I mean, I'm open to all faiths. And when it comes to magic, I'm kind of the same way. I don't follow just one path. I like hoodoo. I like old Celtic magic. Even like the Romney Gypsy, or how do you say Romney Gypsy? I like some of their spells. A lot of their spells are really fast and easy, but effective. And so, I'll use even some of those if I'm wanting to do something that's, really just kind of fast and, fast and I know will be effective. I'll use it. So I don't just do one thing, it just kind of depends on what it is I'm trying to achieve through the manifesting. But, to go through all of that information would take forever. So I'm going to simplify this, and I want to talk about the one that has been very instrumental to me and to my life, and to tell you some of the miracles that this particular deity has manifested, helped me to manifest. Deities are basically either saints or, like, in the Indian culture, they have different gods that would be deities. And I even like some of those. I really like Lakshmi. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but she's for wealth and abundance. I really like her. Some people will call Jesus, a deity. I mean, for me, he's my Lord and Savior because I am Christian. But for those, who are not, may see him as a deity. But there's a lot of saints who, again, have specific topics that they're really good at in terms of manifesting and fulfilling your petitions. So the one that I want to talk about, who I think is really good for twin flames, and I'll explain why. She's really good, for relationships. And her name is Saint Rita. I do have, a statue of her. So the first thing that you want to know when it comes to any saint or any deities, that you want to help you in achieving your petition or achieving your manifestation, what you have to know is before you start asking them for favors, you want to get to know them. You kind of want to do some research on their background and get to know how their life was. And, you build a relationship with them. You kind of, give them some offerings. So listen, it's like when you meet any person, you want to introduce yourself, you want to talk about what they like, what you like. What's no different with saints or deities. You would basically talk to them like you would any other person. Like for instance, good morning, Saint Rita, how are you doing today? Thank you for allowing me to be in your presence. And since, I've done the research on her background, like I know what she, what her life was about, and, and what in what helpful ways she's best at achieving your petition or manifestation. So you just build a relationship with them. Once you build a relationship with them, after a couple of days of just kind of speaking to the saint or deity and kind of telling them a little bit about yourself, then you can ask for favors. So as a lot of you know, when I first started this channel, I was in separation with my divine masculine. My divine masculine and I, we went through a separation, and during that separation, he was in a karmic relationship. It was devastating to me. So the thing is that being on this journey, you know that a karmic is here to teach you lessons. You also know that you have to go through some healing. You also know that you have to have an awakening, and it's through the awakening that really opens up your mind and your heart, and lets you kind of see where some changes need to be made. Okay, and that's what really helps you to be the best version of yourself. Okay, so one of the problems that me and my divine masculine had in the past was that, my divine masculine, he was very good looking. And so a lot of his ex-girlfriends would like to hit him up on Facebook and send him messages and want to, see how he's doing. And knowing that he was married, because by the way, we were married, knowing that he was married, they still wanted to, interrupt his life and, send him messages and things of that nature. And unfortunately, my husband, my divine masculine / husband, he kind of liked the attention. And so he did entertain it. And it was a big problem. And so I was not surprised that, when he and I went into separation, he ended up, entering a karmic relationship with somebody from his past. Okay, so I always knew that in order for he and I to ever come back in union, a lot of changes were going to need to be made, not only on my part, but his part. It was going to have to be changes from both of us. And one of those changes is that I really needed him to understand that, he's a married man, and that he cannot be entertaining that kind of stuff, and that he has to let the past be the past, and he needs to be committed to his marriage. Okay. So that was very important to me. Whether he left the karmic and came back to me, that was irrelevant to me. I didn't want him to just leave the karmic and come back to me. I wanted him to leave the karmic and come back to me with the proper and necessary changes, because this is a marriage and this is a twin flame connection, and those necessary changes needed to happen. And then same with me, I had to realize the things that, you know, I was doing, and I needed to change those things. But while we were in separation, I really connected with Saint Rita. And here's the reason why. Because looking at her backstory, Saint Rita was someone who got married very young, like 12 or 13 years old. She married a man, and she was very devout. Okay, she was a very devout Christian, and she loved Jesus, and she was a woman of faith. She was even known to have stigmata. And, you know, stigmata does not happen to just anybody. There are very, very few people who experience stigmata, because you have to be somebody with unwavering faith in order to experience that. Because basically what it is bleeding through the hands or the feet, because Jesus bled through the hands and feet when he was nailed to the cross at his crucifixion. So it's basically a representation of that. But again, that doesn't happen to just anybody. You have to have enormous faith in order for that to happen. And she was known to have had some occasions of stigmata. So she was a woman of great faith. So she got married very young, and the man that she married was not a man of faith. In fact, he was the opposite. He was not a very good man to begin with. He liked to drink, so he'd like to go to the bars, and he would drink, and he would get into fights with people. And they had children together, and sometimes he would come home drunk, and he would actually be abusive with her and the children. But one thing about her was that, she knew how her husband was, but she felt like she had enough faith to be able to transform him. And so what she did was she prayed for him every single day. Every single day she prayed for her husband to have a transformation and to be a man of faith. And eventually, that is exactly what happened. He ended up changing. He transformed, and he became a man of faith, just like her. Maybe not as much as her, but he stopped drinking, he stopped being abusive, and he became a man of faith. And that was something that she prayed for every single day. So she is known for marriages or for love and relationships. And so because I was trying to achieve the goal as, really having my husband change and transform the way that she helped her husband transform, I wanted those same results. And so I built a relationship with her, and I told her that, if she was able to make that happen, that I would honor her for all time. And, lo and behold, a year and a half ago, he and I ended up back in union. So we are now, living together again. We're in union again. But the best part about it is not just, being in union. The best part about it is that I have changed for the better, and he has changed for the better. And all those issues that we had in the past, those problems, those issues have not happened since we have been back together. There has been no exes that, tried to talk to him anymore. He's not reaching out to anybody. He has been absolutely wonderful in this marriage. That's not to say that we don't get into tiffs, because we do, everybody does. But he's like a totally different person. He transformed the way that Saint Rita's husband transformed. And so, I encourage all of you to get to know who Saint Rita is for your connection. If your divine masculine has some issues, and you really want him to change those, and I encourage you to build a relationship with Saint Rita, and she will absolutely help you. Now, I will tell you this: it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it did take some time. Okay, it did. It took a year. It took a year and a half. Okay, it took a year and a half for me and my divine masculine slash husband to come back into union. However, I didn't approach her right away. So I would actually say it took a year, because I want to say, it wasn't until 6 months into our separation that, I found her, read her story, and felt like she was the one that I could, really connect to help me with that, to help me with union, and not only to help me with union, but to help with the transformations with me and him. And she absolutely did. I mean, you have to be patient with her. And, I, would give her offerings, giving her flowers, or, I have a bottle of perfume and I'll spray her with perfume as an offering. You can light a candle, for her as an offering, but giving offerings and just talking to her, and, saying your, saying your affirmations with her, or your petitions with her, she will absolutely come through. You just have to, build that relationship with her, and you have to have faith that it's going to happen. And it absolutely did. She brought back my divine masculine, and, like I said, not only did she bring him back, but the transformations that were needed absolutely did transform. So that was absolutely wonderful. So another thing that I want to tell you about, another miracle that she helped me with. So during the time that me and my husband were separated, when the separation first occurred, it was devastating for me. I mean, it was devastating. And I remember going to, spend time with family members. There was a family event, and I'm Hispanic, so Hispanics like to get together, and they eat and they drink and they have a good time. And me personally, I'm not a drinker. I don't really like the taste of alcohol at all, but I was in my feelings, and I was going through a hard time, and so I had a few drinks, and at the end of the night, I decided to drive home, and I was pulled over. I was so drunk, though, that I could not take any test. They knew I couldn't take any tests, so I didn't do a breathalyzer, and I didn't do any of the the tests that they ask. But they did end up sending me to the hospital and do a blood test. So and I'll say it right here, right now. That was the absolute wrong thing to do. I should never had done it. But that was like 3.5 years ago, and here in Houston, Uber wasn't really a thing yet. I know in other cities like New York, or in the north, Uber had already kind of built built their business there quite well. But here in Texas, it had not reached here at the level that it is now. So Uber wasn't really an option at that time, and I admit that I was absolutely wrong, because I could have hurt myself, and more importantly, I could have hurt someone else, and I was absolutely wrong for that, and I'm ashamed of myself for that. But we all make mistakes that we're ashamed of, and you have to, you have to take accountability for it, and you have to make sure that you learn from it. And I did. So the thing is, obviously I did get arrested for it, and this was before I even started my channel. I did get arrested for it. I even spent the night in jail. It was horrible. And it was, a long process. I mean, 3 years, 3.5 years, because for the first year, I had to hire a lawyer, number one, which costs a whole lot of money. I hired a lawyer, and he kept resetting the court date every time. He reset it for a year, and then finally, after a year, they went ahead and put me on. They put me on a program for first-time offenders, and gave me a probation officer, and I had to do the breathalyzer. I had to have an in-home breathalyzer. I had to go to classes, and I had to pay fines and all of that. And of course, then Corona hit, and so that kind of put a damper on my visits to the probation officer. So I couldn't, so we were not allowed to go, to the office for that. So everything was basically through email. The only thing, so I did pretty much all the classes and the breathalyzer and all of that. And I finally, when Corona hit, it was difficult, and so I told my probation officer, I said, listen, I can't have this breathalyzer anymore. I mean, I've had it all this time. It was only supposed to be for 6 months, and I've had it longer than that, and I'm tired of them pulling out $200 a month for the breathalyzer. And I was like, at this point, I want to just go ahead and just take the charge, And she was like, no, you've already been doing this for a long time, so we'll go ahead and we'll take the breathalyzer away, and all you have to do now is pay your fine, which is $1,000, and do your community service, which was only 16 hours. Just do that, and you'll be done. And I ended up, I honestly, I didn't want to pay that $1,000. I was procrastinating on that. And so what ended up happening is I ended up getting a court date. And again, I had the 16 hours of community service that I didn't do, and I had the $1,000 fine. And I was set to go to court for a routine visit to reset the court date, okay, to allow me time. They were going to ask for another 3 months for me to pay the $1,000 fine and for me to do the community service. And I prayed to Saint Rita, and I asked her to just help me so that, I wouldn't have to pay that fine, and I wouldn't have to do that community service. And I ended up going to court. And when I walked in there, I sat down, and all of a sudden, I just felt this energy. I felt this energy of being in the flying disc. If any of you listen to Abraham Hicks, she talks about being on the high flying disc. And so I walked into that courtroom and I was like, I'm on the high flying disc and I know that I'm going to get a miracle today. And I'm waiting for the judge to call me, and the judge doesn't call me, but the girls, the clerks, working on the side, one of the clerks called me up and she said, Miss Rebecca, we're dismissing your case today. And I said, excuse me? She said, we're dismissing your case today. And I was like, wow. So not only did I not have to pay that $1,000 fine, not only did I not have to do the community service, but the charge was absolutely dropped and, is going to show up on my record as dismissed. So, when you do get charged for something, you get charged for it, but the verdict is what makes the difference, and the verdict was dismissed. So that's what showed up on that. But again, I prayed to Saint Rita. I asked her for her help, and she absolutely came through for me. I had prayed to her before, but again, she does take some time, but she came through. She brought me back my divine masculine and transformed our marriage for the better. And then she totally dismissed my DWI. So I'm here to tell you that Saint Rita is definitely one of those, saints or deities, however you would, determine to classify her. She works miracles. And so I encourage you, especially for relationships and for twins, she's somebody that you want to build a relationship with. Do some research on her and, get to know her, be friends with her, and, she will definitely help you out, okay? There is for money issues, there is a saint called Saint Expedite, and he's somebody who, if you're, in need of money quick, fast, in a hurry, he's somebody who will give you, the money that you need quick, fast, in a hurry. But he does have some rules. He likes for you to have a picture of him, light a red candle, and once he's fulfilled that petition or request, you have to give him pound cake. Quickly after. He's one of those saints that, if you don't do those things, and they're simple things, if you don't do them, quick, because he works quick, he will take it back. He will take the money back. So, you kind of have to know, you have to know who you're working with, and, kind of what it is that they like and their rules, because you don't want to have your requests taken back. Okay, you don't want any takebacks. So, but Saint Rita, she's not like that. She's not, she doesn't work fast. So she will definitely, get the job done. But you kind of have to take your time, and you have to have faith in her, and give her offerings, and she will come through. So I just wanted to say that, and you don't have to be Catholic in order to work with these saints. There, any practitioner will tell you that you do not have to be of that particular path, okay? You follow all the paths, okay? Be open to all of the paths, and just build your relationship with the deity that feels right for you, okay? Santa Muerta, I hear she's really good at giving you pretty much anything that you want as well. She's not really one that I work with, but people who do venerate her and honor her and use her absolutely love her, because she's somebody who will also work pretty fast. She's the saint of death. I hesitate working with her because I know that she is one of those deities that is very jealous, and she kind of has to have a space all to herself, and she likes for you to have roses for her all the time, and you can't have them on the altar if they're dying. She likes fresh roses. And she too will, if you don't follow her rules, then she will take back, and she'll take back a little bit with vengeance. And so I'm reluctant to work with deities like that, because I like the gentle, kind, loving saints and deities, because if I don't want to make a mistake and then, have repercussions. So I'm very careful about that kind of stuff. But, if you're somebody who, can be attentive to her needs and wants, then, she's somebody that, works quick and fast as well. So you may want to look into that. Her name is Santa Muerta, which is the saint of death. So, just a couple of these saints, Saint Rita, Saint Expedite, Santa Muerta. But those aren't the only ones. Like I said, Lakshmi, who is an Indian deity or an Indian god, she's good for wealth and abundance as well. And everybody will tell you, she does great things as well. She's a very positive, she's a very positive spirit. So anyways, like I said, I can talk about magic and manifesting for hours and hours and hours, but I wanted to talk about Saint Rita because, again, she is for relationships, and I think she's really good for twin flames, and she's good for making that transformation between you both and for the relationship. So I encourage you all, you don't have to be Catholic. You just have to build a relationship with her, and she will definitely come through, and she will honor your petition, and she will help you manifest getting your divine masculine back. But not only getting him back, but getting him back in a transformative way. And so you can't go wrong with that. And again, she helped me with that DWI. That's embarrassing for me to talk about, but like I said, we all make mistakes, but you have to be accountable, for your mistakes, and you have to learn from your mistakes. And me knowing that I'm not a drinker, I should have never got behind the wheel, because I could have hurt myself and I could have hurt someone else, and I would have never been able to live with myself, had that have happened, but I do believe that Saint Rita, was on, at that particular time, I had not built a relationship with her, so she did help me with the case in dismissing it. But I do feel like I had some of my ancestors watching out for me. Oh, that's another thing. Your ancestors are always there to help you as well. Okay, I use my ancestors a lot with my magic. because they are your blood, and they're gonna help you. They're gonna want to help you, um, more than anybody. Okay, but still, there's other saints and deities that are good for specific things, and Saint Rita is good for twin flames and good for relationships. So I hope that some of you consider this knowledge and consider getting to know Saint Rita, and she will definitely bring you what you want. Okay, so I love all of you, and let me know if this information was beneficial to you. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in a personal reading, all the information is in the description box. That is the down arrow on the right, and all the information will be there for readings and for the workings that I offer. So I'll talk to you all soon. I love all of you. I'm wishing all of you the best. I'm wishing all of you unions. I want all of you to have the miracle of union the way that I've had the miracle of union. So me and Saint Rita say goodbye.